Attorney General in the hot seat on Capitol Hill answering questions about this memo, the Justice Department, he called it the memorandum, about increasing harassment and intimidation and threats, and instructing the FBI to work with school boards. The Washington Free Beacon reported this. The country's largest school board association collaborated with the Biden White House before sending a controversial letter calling on the FBI to investigate parents as potential domestic terrorists, according to previously unreported emails. The letter makes clear that the White House was aware of the letter before it was released, while raising questions about whether the White House colluded with the association on the letter to prompt federal action. We'll start there with the panel. Let's bring them in. Mara Liasson, national political correspondent, National Public Radio, former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer, and Katie Pavlich, news editor at townhall.com. Ari, a lot of questions from Republican lawmakers, obviously on that committee, to the Attorney General. What about that back and forth and what he was saying?
Yeah, Brett, today's a day that I am so grateful to Mitch McConnell for keeping Merrick Garland off of the Supreme Court. And he comes across with such soothing words, never in a million years would we ever do this. And he, meanwhile, is very political behind the scenes. Otherwise, why would the Department of Justice ever have issued that letter in the first place? They had to be aware that when you're told somebody it should be treated as a domestic terrorist, and then you say the FBI is going to look into this, and we're going to convene meetings with U.S. attorneys within 30 days of receipt of this letter, they mean action. So he can't have it both ways. It really was not a good day for impartial, nonpartisan justice. And he never heard about the insurrection that took place last week at the Department of Interior, where climate activists, 55 of whom got arrested, injured the police to occupy the Department of Interior. He said he never heard of it. Brett, that was reported in the Washington Post. It was reported by MSNBC, by Fox, and by the Associated Press. How could he not have known?
Yeah. Here's another exchange on that school board letter.
One of the worries that I have about the way that we're talking about race is that it either seems so big that
the Justice Department communicate with those organizations, AFT, NEA, National School Board Association, prior to the letter. Did you help the National School Board Association put together the letter?
Again, not. I have had no such conversations. I would be surprised if that happened, but I don't know.
When did you first review the data showing this so-called disturbing uptick?
So I read the letter, and we have been seeing over time threats.
Whoa. I didn't ask you. So you read the letter. That's your source?
When the National School Board Association, which represents thousands of school boards and school board members, says that there are these kind of threats.
Obviously, Condi Rice wasn't at the hearing, Mara, but Jim Jordan there pressing on what was the initiation, and basically the Attorney General saying it was that letter.
Yeah, look, the National School Board Association appears to be reporting that there is this uptick of threats. It's the job of the Department of Justice to look into things that could be a crime, acts of violence, not protests, as Merrick Garland said, or any kind of freedom of speech rights that are exercised at a school board meeting. And, you know, we'll wait and see what the Department of Justice does. But the Republicans on the panel are clearly trying to say that they're going to be going after parents and squelching their free speech rights.
Katie?
Well, Brett, if you look at the timeline of this, now that we know the White House did have knowledge of this letter days before the Department of Justice came out with their memo, and Merrick Garland said today that the memo they released had nothing to do with domestic terrorism or the Patriot Act, but the letter from the National Board of School Boards did use that language. It did ask the Justice Department to do that. It was given to the White House, addressed to President Biden, and then a few days later, coincidentally, the Department of Justice releases this memo saying that they're going to keep a closer eye on this despite the fact they haven't investigated whether these are federal crimes or not. They simply got this letter as admitted to by Merrick Garland today. And the broader question here is, you know, President Biden said he wanted an independent Justice Department. Well, the sequence of events here doesn't indicate that. that. And more broadly speaking, the Department of Justice under Democrat presidents has a history recently of going after political opponents and using the federal government and law enforcement agencies to do that, whether it was the IRS targeting of Tea Party groups in 2010, whether it was the FBI going after Trump administration officials and getting an illegal FISA warrant to spy on Carter Page. And so this is a bigger question now of what the Department of Justice is going to do on behalf of the White House to get ahead politically on behalf of powerful teachers unions.
Yeah, a couple other things from that hearing. One was that the AG saying they will consider the contempt charge that was voted on in the House against Steve Bannon, and all contempt charges, and that the Durham investigation is in fact continuing, and he is fully funded as he continues that investigation. Panel, stand by if you would when we come back tomorrow's headlines with the panel.